Someone once said to me a few years ago that Jesus was way too modest to be God. I want to talk a bit about that today. Hi, I'm Warren, the rector here at St. Columba's. Glad you could join me for my message of the day. Yes, this person came to church a number of years ago and afterwards told me that he'd been reading the Gospels and noticed the modesty of Jesus, by which he meant the way Jesus was always pointing to God. It wasn't about Jesus, it was about God. It was about the one he called Father. So Jesus didn't try and heap accolades on himself, but was a servant. And the theological conclusion that this man had drawn was that therefore Jesus was not God. Now I said to him that he had correctly read Scripture, that Jesus was indeed very modest. He finds his identity in not the usual markers, but in his relationship to God. But that he had drawn the wrong theological conclusion from what he had read in the Gospels. Because the point of this modesty of Jesus is to say that this is what God is like. That's so crucial. We don't have our theological conclusions about God and therefore already and keep them and then maybe have a dismissed Jesus or say that he's not God. We do the opposite. You see, Jesus is God and his modesty is what God is like. And those attributes of God that we might already hold, which are contrary to that, it's those attributes that we reject or that we modify to fit with Jesus. It's not the other way around. We don't fit Jesus to what we already think. That's a crucial theological principle in Christian theology. Jesus is Lord. That's part of what that means. Anyway, I loved it how this person had been able to read the Gospels correctly. And it is there for us to read, the way Jesus finds his identity in his relationship with God. And it's not like we say, if only Jesus had not focused on God so much, he might have had a good life, he might have found his true self. In fact, what we say is, because he was focused on God, he was true to himself. The more he was the Son, obedient to the Father, the more he was true to himself. There's a model in this for us as well, of course. Our devotion to God is not meant to actually annihilate us. In our devotion to God, we find our true selves. Anyway, it's there to be read as we read the Gospels this way, to see the modesty of Jesus and to see that his self-giving to the Father coincides with his self-giving on the cross for us because of our sin. That's kind of like a pair of reading glasses to have on when you read the Gospels. And when we do that, we're reading it according to what we call the doctrine of the Trinity. It's at least a start. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.